when you talk about prayer, so often people think prayer is about talking to God. How do I talk to God? And I think they miss that actually it's a conversation with God, it's chatting with God, and the big part that people forget about is the listening side to that. And I remember seeing a little bookmark years ago that just said, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means we should be listening twice as much as we're talking. And I think, we can build up the courage to talk to God, and ultimately it doesn't matter if he exists or not, or if we believe it or not, because we're just talking. But when it comes to trying to listen to God, suddenly we're taking a risk of, does he exist or not, because we need to be able to hear something. And I think God is constantly wanting to tell us something. He's talking to us. He loves us. He has messages for us. And it's just, how do we hear him? And that's different for loads of different people. Some people get pictures in their mind. Some people think of a verse that they may know from the Bible. Some people very clearly hear a message in their mind. Some people, it's about hearing it through other people. So when you're part of being in a church, that somebody else feels they can share something that God's got to say to you, and that's very clearly you've been asking God a question and you've been wanting him to answer it. For me, this has been something I've been learning about gradually over lots of years, but that God started to give me this a gift of prophecy. And effectively, prophecy is simply God giving you information to bless other people in their life, and to be able to speak into people's lives when maybe they can't hear from God themselves. And it's quite scary, because I'll simply be chatting with God and just saying, "Hi God, I just want to ask you, have you got anything to say to my friend over here?" And then suddenly something comes to mind, and it's like, oh man, am I just making that up, or is that God? What do I do? What to do? But if God wants to say that to them, they might not hear it unless I go and share it. So I've decided to be somebody who is a risk taker, and I will go and share that message and say, I'm not sure that this is from God, but I think it is, and then tell them what it is. And that's led to me being able to give some great messages to people that they're like, I've been asking God about that, and I just thought he didn't love me. I just thought he didn't even know that I was asking this question. And sometimes it's a really clear, long-winded message. Other times it's a word, say, oh, God just wants to say go, or God just wants to say, yes, I agree with what you're asking. And I've loved that God chooses to use me to be able to speak to other people. And that's not because I'm special, that's because I've asked God to do that, and God does things that we ask him to do. And I think God can use anybody to do that. And it's really simple to just sit with a friend and say, God, have you got anything you want to say to this person today? And then let him speak. Don't be afraid to just sit and wait for God to speak, because so often it's about us trying to hear and not race off and think, God wasn't talking today, let's move on.